Hi everyone, welcome to Learning by Doing with Praveen Kandan. This is Praveen. This is Java Object-Oriented Programming playlist. We will learn whose concepts from the scratch. This is Java whose programming session number 64, Dynamic Method Dispatch. If you are serious about learning, then like the video and subscribe the channel for more update. Please click the bell icon and select all notification option. Don't choose personalized option. You may miss some session updates. Let's get started. So what is my dynamic method dispatch? A very important interview question. So it is also called as a late binding. So now we'll discuss what is the dynamic method dispatch. So Java virtual machine decides which overridden method to call at runtime based on the object, not the reference. Previously we have discussed the same thing. Call is the method call is decided at runtime based on the object type, not the reference type. So here JVM decides which overridden method to call at runtime based on that object, not the reference. So how it is internally working means during compile time, it will check the method whether it is exist or not, whether reference type is present or not. Check the method whether it is present with the same signature, there is the same method signature or not. It will check. Runtime only JVM will check the object. Depends on the object only, child method will be called. This is the important thing. This process is called as a dynamic method dispatch at runtime which method is going to override it. Okay, so which method is going to override it, so that method should be called. Okay, which method you should call, that method is already overridden. So that is what we are clearly mentioning. JVM decides which overridden method to call at runtime because the method is already overridden by the child class. So among that, which class, which that is a which overridden method should call at runtime. That is what dynamic method dispatch. Okay, so that call also depends on the which one based on the object. Okay, the previous example we have discussed at runtime only this object's UPI will be created. At the time only UPI class pay method will be executed during runtime. At the time of object creation only, this method will be invoked at runtime only. JVM will decide which overridden because these are the overridden methods. Pay at override, pay at override, pay, UP and print. These are the overridden methods. So which overridden method should call based on the object? This is based on the UPI object means that UPI object method should be overridden. Okay, so this UPI object overridden method will be called pay. Output is payment via UPI. This is what they are telling you. So make it clear and simple. Beginner problem, terms sound sometimes complex, meaning is hidden. But we are explaining and dividing the words one by one and then explaining. So please follow it and then you can get the answer. So full working example discussed now. Dynamic method dispatch. What is the parent class name? I'm giving as a parent. The method is already declared here. That is defined. Void show, parent show method. So child classes going to override it. So extends parent, basic inheritance concept. If you would like to access the parent class features in the child class, use the keyword extends and then base class or super class name parent. I'm going to override it. So I'm giving a to override annotation here. So show method is already present in the parent class. I'm going to override it here. Void show child show method. So I'm going to access this in a main method. So object is okay. First of all, what is that? Parent, using the parent reference type only, we are going to access the child object. So left side is the parent class reference type. Parent class reference name is P. So what will happen compile time? During compile time, it will check whether the reference type is present or not. Yes. After that, it will check the method signature. P dot show means that parent class should have the method show. So at the time of object creation, new child, at the time only object will be created for this child class. Now what will happen means now this using this child class, okay, object. Now child class overridden method will be called, not parent class method. This method will not be invoked. Now after creation, this after that is after child object child class object creation. Now child class overridden method will be called. What is that? The method is already overridden. P dot show child show method will be printed. This is what the execution procedure. So left side parent class reference, right side child class object. It's called as a upcasting. Okay, the forthcoming session will discuss in detail manner. Now just try to understand. The output is before calling show. See, I'm just printing now for a reference. Overridden method call. Overridden method call. So what is the output? You are getting child class method. Here. For your reference, I'm giving it. Main method started. After this object creation, before calling method, I'm printing for reference. Before calling show. After this, overriding p dot show means what's the output here? Child show method. At last, the main method is ended. For reference, I'm just displaying the concept is during compilation time, check the reference type and then method signature whether it is already present or not. This is what I'll check. Runtime only at the time of object creation new child. Method is that is what is that? Which method will be called? Child class method. Using the parent class reference type, the child class method. What is the child class method here? So the overridden method of child class will be executed. Overridden method of child class will be executed. Child show method. Alright, done. Next, discuss our complete workflow inheritance. So what happened? Starting from the main function in class test. This is what executing. Just formally giving the explanation. So JVM does not check overriding now. Important point. JVM does not checking overriding now. What will check means reference type. Parent class reference type. We look for the first of all the main function is present or not. Main function static. Static compile time binding is now happening. No dynamic method dispatched so far. Just static binding. It will check during the compilation time. The reference type is present or not. After that, the method signature as per this is present or not. This one will check. So static compile time, no dynamic method dispatch so far here. Okay. So now, what will happen means during compile, what is that during a runtime execution? That is during object creation at runtime. Now what will happen means parent p equal to new child. So reference type is the parent, object type is the child. This is called as a upcasting. Using the parent class reference type, we are calling the object class object type method. It's called upcasting. Still no method call. Simple important thing. Still this line is not created. No method call. Okay. Method call is reached. So this is the critical point. Compile time what will check means, does parent have show method or not? Does parent class have show method or not? Repetition only. Already explained clearly. Just for a reference, and once again showing parent class. Yes. Code compiles. Code compiles child class completely. During compilation, it will ignore the child class completely. Okay. Now runtime check what will happen means JVM executes p dot show at the time of object creation. So now during runtime only this object will be created new child. Now which object is okay? JVM asks which object is p pointing to, that is about child class. P is pointing to the child class object. So child has overridden method show. So that method will be now executed. Child show executes. So JVM decides okay the processor this DMD dynamic method dispatch is also called as a process mechanism. It decides that is JVM decide which overridden method to call. Decision is based on object type. Important thing. Decision is based on the object type. What I'm saying a new child of based on this only it will work. So happens at runtime. Important thing. So this is also called as a late binding because method gets linked at runtime. Binding happens late, not at compile time. Not at compile time. So this leads to a late binding. So simple online method, dynamic method dispatch means runtime method selection. This is called as a runtime method selection process. Okay, runtime only method will be selected. So late binding or we can call it a runtime method linking. Runtime method linking. They occur together for overridden instance methods. That is the child class methods. when both occurs condition, but happens only when all three are true. Okay, they're asking when this runtime method selection and run method linking. Yes, if you're linking only that method. Okay, so here, which first of all selection process runtime method selection, which method is going to execute, will decide. After that only we are implementing that, that is calling that method. So when this dynamic method dispatch and late binding is happening means, okay, read it carefully. Inheritance success, you should override it. After that, that is inheritance means you have to first of all extend that class. Afterwards you have to override that method. Based on the parent reference only, child object method should be implemented. So here, what is happening means dynamic method dispatch. Which method is should call, which method should call, that is deciding. Afterwards, late pending, the method is connected or invoked. That method will be executed. This is called as a process combined process DMD plus late binding. Dynamic method dispatch. Based on this object only, it will be invoke late binding, it will be implementing that overriding. This is what we are clearly mentioned here. Runtime method linking, it is runtime method selection. When they don't occur means static methods. So no overriding is possible here because overriding means should you create the object, then you have to extend that class. So here there is no possibility. You can't able to override it. Object creation is required. Important thing is static method, object creation is not required. But if you're overriding, object is definitely required. So no DMB, no late binding. Compile time binding it will come. Got it? Next one, final methods also can be ordered. These are the round one interview questions or face-to-face interview questions. They'll ask the final methods can be ordered. No, because final method at compile time itself decided you can't able to modify. Private methods also not allowed here, not visible to child, because if you are mentioning as private, we are accessing some other package or files, you can't able to access it because it is not visible. Overriding is not possible. Important interview board techniques is overriding, that is dynamic method dispatch method will check. Okay, so it will check ensure there is a runtime method selection, which method should execute. Next, it will be connected or linking. Okay, you are going to execute that overriding method, that is called as a late binding. So static final private or early binding, it is not supported for late binding. Compile time itself will be decided. So final summary is dynamic method is a JVM mechanism that selects the overridden method at runtime, divided and read. So it's a JVM mechanism that selects the overridden method at runtime. And next, divide the remaining sentence, read it carefully. Because the method is linked at runtime, it is also called as a late binding. I hope you are clear with this. Simple memory chain representation program start from the main function. So after that main function is executed, the parent class P reference type is that it will check during compilation time whether this class is present or not. That method signature is also present or not. After creating this object at runtime, new child. So p dot show call will be called. Okay, before that compile time only the parent as show only is present or not. During compile time it will check only this parent class has the show method or not. Runtime only after getting this new child. Okay, so it'll check the object. So at the time that object will call the child class method. So child show will be executed. Dynamic method dispatch is the simple thing. It's a process, a runtime method selection process. Late binding is the effect. How you are overriding. The implementation part is the late binding. It will dynamic method dispatch only the selection process. So what's the difference? Early binding, late binding means method overloading. Compile time, time itself it is decided. Runtime method overriding will happen during runtime based on the object. The method will be called and it is overriding. Compile time column is also called as early binding. Runtime column is also called as a late binding. So who is deciding means compile and decide. That is about compile time columns. JVM deciding means that is called as a runtime polymorphism. Here no DMD where compile time polymorphism. Runtime polymorphism it will use as the DMD. So final character statement is a JVM mechanism is used to achieve late binding in runtime polymorphism. DMD uses late binding concept. A real life analog if you're taking the button or does a power button. Okay, Same power button works for different response TV, AC, speaker, whatever it is, fan, automated fans are there. So decision happens after device is connected only. So after this objects only, you are designing that is about runtime polymorphism. So which method should work? That is designed by DMD, the process. Okay, dynamic method dispatches. Dynamic method dispatch. So who is connecting or linking with that method means execution part means that is about the late binding. Okay, based on the object, it will be executed. So if you're taking the best example, basic mobile smartphone. So basic mobile having the call from mobile and then SMS call SMS method is there. We are taking another class or another method here. What is that? Taking smartphone. So smartphone extends the mobile. So override that method call and browse. It will work. So here call alone I'm overriding. Browse is not present. Browse is new method. Simple thing. So method overloading is possible. Yes. Where compile time, runtime method overriding. Binding is happening early means that is compile time, runtime late binding. Based on objects only at last you're exceeding. Decision is based by the compiler. Your runtime decision is based by JVM. Inheritance not required, objects also not required for compile time, but both are required for runtime. Flexibility is low because you can't able to change the reusability and all. Here, a runtime policy is such a, so just declare the class and then access by your we already discussed in the previous sessions. Generic class created, override it by the new classes or under classes are coming, no issues. We are just following only the generic class. So performance is faster compile time because here early binding at the time it is decided, so it will exit quicker. Here slightly slower. Usage is utility logic. So utility logic in sense ensuring that so whether the reference class is present or not, method signature is correct or not, it will check. But business logic is the important code. Okay, so you are going to the implementation, the business logic. Yeah, there is no checking at all, only execution. So find one line follow parent reference plus child object. So the method are decided at runtime. This is called as a runtime polymorphism. Parent using the parent reference, child class method, overridden method will be executed. So method deciding at runtime, not compile time. This is called as a runtime polymorphism. Next session will discuss about the complete workflow. If you found the session useful, then like the video, subscribe channel for more update. Please share it with your friends. Thank you for watching.